Yo, what's going on, guys? Snoozeman back here with another YouTube video, and today we're actually going to be talking about how to fix your guys' cap space here in Madden 21 franchise mode. Now, again, this is going to be involved around the salaries table, as we're going to go ahead and go into that under my team, and I'm going to go ahead and get right into it here. So, as you guys can see, there's a lot of different numbers here. And the cap space number we are working with here is 25.3 million, and we're going to be paying attention to two different categories here, and that's penalty, and that's actually the current year that we are in under our franchise, which we are still into our first year. We're just underway into this franchise, so we are in the 2020 season, so we are getting all the 2020 season numbers that we're paying for this year and all the players. So as you guys can see, these numbers obviously vary with different contracts, but we're gonna go ahead and go through this roster here, and you guys kind of want to sort out different players on which players actually contribute to your team and which players that are maybe making too much on your team. So as we go down the list, and again, two numbers that we really want to pay, or two categories we really want to pay attention to, again, is penalty and this year's, which is 2020 for me right now, this category. So when we have a more penalty than we do our current year that we're paying somebody like a Khalil Mack, that means if we were to cut or trade him, we would actually lose money. So we have more penalty than we do 26.6 million we're paying him this year to fulfill his $155 million contract. So again, he would not be a guy you would want to cut or trade. And I'm going to show real-time examples of how we can actually improve our cap space. I'm going to show proof on how we actually made cap space. I'm going to show you guys how we can get up and over 25.3 mil just by going through our roster here. So I'm going to kind of break it down, go position by position, and which type of guys can actually contribute or which guys we can actually cut and trade and stuff like that. And even maybe trade guys that we might not want to cut because we think we can actually get a lot of value for and get picks for, and net ourselves a lot of positive cap space. So as we can see with Mitch Trubisky, obviously he's a guy that we necessarily don't need. Now, he currently is our starting quarterback, but we don't need him to be. I know a lot of teams aren't going to like him a lot, so we can easily cut him. We can see what his price tag is in terms of trading him and see what we can get out of him, but for the sake of the video, I would like to cut him. But as you guys can see, his penalty is 4.81 mil, and we're paying him 9.23 mil this current season, so we net ourselves some positive money there. And all we would have to do is tap on a guy like Mitchell Trubisky. I think we can go here, and we can go ahead and release him. So when we go ahead and release him, it's going to say releasing QB Mitchell Trubisky will free up 4.42 mil in cap, but this incur a penalty, which we know of at 4.81 mil. Are you want to release this player? And yes. And it's going to say we freed up a net of 4.42 mil. We're going to go ahead and back out. It's not, as you guys can see, the $25.3 million cap space is still there. You're going to have to back out and then go back in. You're going to see that we actually profited in our cap space. So we're going to go back into salaries, and as you guys can see, the number now went from 25.3 to 29.7 million dollars in cap space here just by releasing Mitch Trubisky. And that's huge because we already have two quarterbacks here. And we really can't do much with a Nick Foles because we would lose a lot of money if we were to cut or trade a Nick Foles because of his penalty. He has a massive penalty at 20 mil, and we're paying him 5.33 mil, so we would lose a lot there. So you have to make sure your guys' penalty is lower than the amount you're paying him for this year. Tyler Bray obviously wouldn't get anything out of that. Just kind of go position by position and break things down in which you would like to cut or trade, or a guy that you think is very viable and playing well for your team, or guys simply that you just can't cut or trade because of how big of a penalty they have, like in Nick Foles. Again, right here in Cordero Patterson, we can easily cut him and save a little bit there. Tariq Cohen's not a massive price. Since Dave Montgomery is only a 2-year guy, you're not going to make a lot out of that. You have Cordero Patterson. You can easily do something with that. Again, we can easily cut somebody like a Cordero Patterson and release him. He does have a superstar dev. We could easily trade him for picks. Again, I wouldn't trade him for other players because then that's going to tack on. You're basically trading for contracts at that point. And if you're trading for contracts, you're not really profiting anything in cap space. Make sure when you guys are willing to trade a player and you think he's worth trading, make sure you get a high enough draft pick, as high as you can get. You profit in cap space, and you can draft that guy's replacement. That way you're building for the future, and you get an even improvement cap space. But we're going to go ahead, again, for the sake of the video, and cut Cordero Patterson here and release him. And we have freed a net of 4.75 mil in cap room. We're going to go back out. We're at 29.7. It'll update as we go back into our salaries table. And I'm going to show you, we're going to go back into running back, so don't need to do anything there. We went from 29.7 all the way up to 34.5. So we went all the way from 25.3, I believe, at the start of the video to 34.5. So we've almost made, we've made a good amount there in cap space, which is very, very solid. We've made a good amount there, which is not bad at all. Now, we've made, I believe, around 10 mil. It's close to that, which is very nice. But now we're in the wide receiver position, and we're looking at a guy like Allen Robinson here, guys, which this is a very tough decision. If you guys are struggling in a negative cap space, these are the tough decisions that you guys are going to have to make. So Allen Robinson here has a $2.1 million penalty, and we're paying him 15 mil this year. So his penalty isn't big. We're paying him a good amount this year. You'd profit a lot of money on Allen Robinson. But here's the thing. We know how much he contributes to the team as one of the best players on the team. Those are the type of factors you guys have to weigh out. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to back out and show you guys something that maybe if you guys are really struggling financially and you needed you've made the necessary cuts, you're still struggling, and you've got guys like Allen Robinson who you know is contributing, but you still have to give up because you're that scarce in money, then we're going to go ahead and trade an Allen Robinson to a team that really likes him a lot, that has green interest. Okay, Colts have negative, so they need to cut a lot of guys and trade guys right now. They're too backed up. Eagles, okay, we can trade something to them. Again, remember, just picks. We can get their 20 for a team that honestly probably isn't going to do well, and they'll probably end up being a better pick than 20 anyways. And then we'll see if that comes close. And that trade offer was accepted, guys. We probably could have even gotten something better and looked forward, but again, for the sake of the video, I wanted to get something out there quick, and we got a lot of value still at the pick 20. We can easily use that to maybe go trade for a receiver that's not exactly making a lot and benefit in the contract there, or just draft a good player in A-Rob's place there. Again, I did not have to do that, but I know some people are struggling within their franchises and maybe even in negative cap space, and I know this video is going to help out in multiple areas here. But again, guys, make sure you guys are following in these two categories. It's going to help you guys out a lot in your current year that you're working with and penalty, and either cutting or trading. And you guys are going to see that now I went all the way from 25.3 mil all the way up to 47.4. So as you guys can see, I ended up making over 20 mil in cap this video, barely working with it, and I got a good pick in return to draft that replacement, and that's all you guys had to do. So hopefully this video helped a lot of you guys out. We are trying to hit 180 subs. We're only 8 subs away, so hopefully we can get there, guys. But that will be it for today's video, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next one.